Welcome to Expert Viewpoints, Resource and Budget Planning. In this video, experts will share best resource planning practices, discuss cost estimation and budgeting challenges, and how to overcome them.
Resource planning identifies the people, equipment, materials, supplies, and needed to support a program. We can start by clearly defining all the resources required for a project or a program. This helps in avoiding shortage and ensuring smooth operation.
So, resource best practices really come down to understanding the timeline for the project and making sure that you're talking with your key resources on a regular basis to understand where they're at as far as project and program deliverables, as well as what their workload is. Additional resource best practices is to set up a shared calendar. And oftentimes that can feel very tedious, but taking the time to set up a shared calendar where you can see when people are off, when they're going to be on vacation, really will help you plan out and make sure that you've got coverage or you're able to postpone the work that needs to happen while those people are away.
A best practice is to develop something called a resource breakdown structure at the program level. This is a breakout by project or component of all the resources required. Identify when the resources are required, what resources are required and in what quantity, and ensure that you validate this list with all of the key project managers and other component owners and subject matter experts to ensure that it is valid.
Resource planning best practices that I can share are to outline your resources early. Make sure that you know what the work and the effort are involved in delivering your objectives of the program.
Resource planning can be very, very difficult, particularly when the details of the project and the schedule isn't known up front. So a couple of things I can recommend is try to get as much detail at the beginning of the project as you can about what the deliverables will be. The second thing that I would recommend for proper resource planning is really thinking through what types of individuals and what types of resources are you going to have at your disposal. So that's another tip, is just sometimes ask for more than you think that you're going to use, and that can actually help you anticipate problems down the road and backfill if you need to.
What are the challenges in cost estimation and budgeting, and how to overcome them?
One of the biggest budget planning challenges that you're going to encounter is estimation. Individuals have a tendency to estimate using the ideal. So one of the best tips that I can provide for you is to use a methodology called 3-point estimation. Sit down with a subject matter expert and try to determine what is the best case or the optimistic scenario, what is the worst case or the pessimistic scenario, and what is the most likely or the average scenario. A very simple method of 3-point is to take the optimistic, the most likely, and the pessimistic, add them up, divide them by 3, and come up with an average. A second challenge will be a changing environment as well. We want to develop an initial plan that defines the resource requirements, but be aware that as circumstances evolve and change, that those resource requirements may change as well too. So stay in touch as a program manager with your team and continually validate that the initial budget and resource estimates are still valid, and if required, update them.
To overcome cost estimation and budget planning challenges, we can break down the budgets into smaller components, including all the projects within a program, and make detailed budget estimates, considering and all the fund requirements and the sources for our funding. By using historical data and benchmarks, we can make more accurate estimates. This can provide a solid estimation for our budgeting process. Statistical tools will help in the predicting the budgets based on the previous data. Regularly tracking and reviewing the budget and monitoring expenses and making adjustment as needed will also help us to stay on track and within the budgets.
One thing that I would always do is try to find similar projects that were the same in scope, the same in deliverables, as close as I could get, and talk to other PMs and see how they did their budgets. It may not be exactly perfect or even close, but at least it gives you a ballpark so that you can build off of that. The other thing that you can do is ask for more budget than you think you'll need. Now, a lot of times budgets are fixed and people that are giving you those budgets don't have room to move, but always ask for more than you think you'll need. So over ask is a tip that I recommend if you can do it, and that will help you. Always make sure that you have enough budget for your project.
You're not given a goal, or you're not given a dollar amount to begin with, and you have to come up with what it looks like and then achieve approval for the project, for the budget that you think that you need, and then you'll be given the budget. Getting a tracker so that you can track time spent, material costs, any of the impacts from a monetary perspective on the project, and then also setting up thresholds for escalation or thresholds for conversation. And then also look for areas where you're under. And so, as important as an overage is that you don't want to be over budget, if you're tracking along and you're consistently under budget, that can also be an indicator that something's not happening. And so you'll need to also look to make sure that people are spending where you thought that they were spending, and all your invoices are in, tracking is happening so that you don't get to the end and have some balloon impact on your budget that you weren't accounting for along the way.